Right, Clause 6, Planning. Everyone talks about ISO 27001 like it's a padlock you buy. It isn't. It's a management system, and Clause 6 is the engine room. This is where the whole thing either becomes a real security posture or becomes a 200-tab spreadsheet that nobody opens again until 11 months later when someone whispers the word audit and Dave goes very quiet. Quick honesty note before we start, I'm not a certified lead auditor. I'm a plain-speaking guide who's read the standard properly and watched a lot of teams fudge it. Take the structure, verify the specifics with your auditor. Now, let's go. 6.1. Actions to address risks and opportunities. 6.1.1, the general bit. When you're planning your management system, you have to take the issues you worked out in Clause 4.1 and the interested party requirements from 4.2 and then determine the risks and opportunities that need addressing. Why? 3 reasons, and the standard actually names them. So the system achieves its intended outcomes, so it prevents or reduces undesired effects, and so it achieves continual improvement. Read that again, risks and opportunities. Everybody dud, those the opportunities have. Here's the thing, opportunities aren't fluff. Getting certified opens enterprise deals, consolidating 4 abandoned cloud tenancies into 1 reduces your attack surface and your bill. Killing the shadow spreadsheet culture makes onboarding faster. Those are opportunities the management system can deliver and they belong in your planning. Most companies skip them because they're miserable about the whole exercise and treating security as a tax. Distressingly honest tagline for most risk registers. A list of things you already knew, written down so a stranger can watch you not fix them. Cute, isn't it? Painful though. 6.1.2. The Information Security Risk Assessment, and this is the bit that separates the serious from the theatrical. The standard does not say do a risk assessment, it says define and apply an information security risk assessment process, a process, something repeatable, something that gives you the same answer next March that it gave you this August. What does that process have to contain? Let's be specific because vagueness is how people fail here. 1. You establish and maintain your risk criteria. That splits in 2. Risk acceptance criteria, meaning what level of risk are you actually willing to live with, decided in advance in daylight, not retrofitted at 4 in the afternoon to make a red square go green, and criteria for performing assessments, meaning when you do them, how you do them, what scale you use. 2. The process has to ensure that repeated assessments produce consistent, valid, and comparable results. That's the line everyone glides past. If 2 different people assess the same asset and get wildly different answers, you don't have a process. You have vibes with a scoring column. 3. You identify the risks, specifically the risks associated with loss of confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information within the scope of the management system, and you identify the risk owners. Owners, human beings, with names. Sound familiar? Open your register. Go on. Look at the owner column. If it says TBD or IT or security team or the same overworked name 41 times, congratulations, you haven't assigned ownership. You've assigned Dave. 4. You analyze the risks, assess the potential consequences. If the risk materializes, assess the realistic likelihood, determine the resulting level of risk. 5. You evaluate, compare the analysis results against those acceptance criteria you set earlier, and prioritize the risks for treatment. That's it? That's the actual requirement. Notice what's missing. There is no requirement for a 200-tab workbook. There's no requirement to enumerate every laptop in the building. A 12-person SaaS company can do this properly on a couple of pages because a 12-person SaaS company has maybe 15 genuine risk scenarios and the rest is padding to look busy, but watch what actually happens. Someone downloads a template with 400 pre-filled rows about physical perimeter security for a company that has no perimeter and no physical anything. Everyone nods, it goes in a folder, it ages. 6.1.3. Risk treatment. Again, define and apply a process. Select appropriate treatment options based on your assessment results. Then determine all controls that are necessary to implement those options. Stay with me because the order matters and almost everyone gets it backwards. You determine what controls you need first, from your risks. Then and only then, you compare those controls against Annex A to verify that no necessary control has been omitted. Annex A is a cross-check, a completeness check. It is not the starting menu. Most companies start at Annex A, work backwards and reverse engineer risks to justify controls they'd already decided to buy. That's not risk management, that's shopping with a receipt written afterwards. Then you produce the Statement of Applicability, the famous one, the artifact your auditor will open before they've taken their coat off, what it must contain, the necessary controls, justification for their inclusion, whether they are implemented or not, and justification for excluding any Annex A controls you've left out.
That's it. That's the whole document. And it's the single most faked artifact in the entire standard because everyone knows the auditor goes straight to it, so it gets polished to a mirror shine while the underlying reality wanders off unsupervised. Distressingly honest tagline for the average Statement of Applicability. 93 confident sentences about a company that does not exist, bless, then 2 more things, and these get forgotten constantly. You formulate a risk treatment plan, and you obtain risk owners' approval of that plan, plus their acceptance of the residual information security risks.
Acceptance formal from the owner, meaning a named person signs up to the risk that's left over after treatment. That's the moment security stops being the security person's problem and becomes the business's problem. That's the entire point of the clause. 6.2. Information security objectives. Objectives must be consistent with your policy, measurable where practicable. They must take into account applicable requirements and the results of risk assessment and treatment. They must be monitored, communicated, and updated as appropriate, and documented. Then the planning half. What will be done? What resources will be required? Who will be responsible when it will be completed? And how the results will be evaluated. Improve security is not an objective, it's a mood. Reduce mean time to revoke lever access from 11 days to 1 business day by the end of Q1, owned by the head of people, measured monthly from the offboarding log. That's an objective. Boring, specific, auditable, actually achievable by Dave. 6.3. Planning of changes. New in the 2022 version, 1 sentence long, quietly, brutal. When the organization determines the need for changes to the management system, the changes shall be carried out in a planned manner. Planned, not bolted on in a Friday panic because you signed a new data processor and nobody told the person who maintains the register. So here's the comfortable lie, and I want you to sit with it. A register built once, for the audit, owned by nobody, opened annually, with a statement of applicability that describes an aspirational version of your company that has never existed and never will. The truth. Clause 6 is not paperwork about security. Clause 6 is the mechanism by which your organization decides on the record what it will tolerate and who carries it. So do this today. Open your risk register, find every owner field that says TBD, and either put a human name in it or delete the row as fiction. Then open your Statement of Applicability, pick 3 controls at random, and ask the named owner to prove it in 5 minutes. If you can't survive your own audit, you are never going to survive theirs.